Om Yanmaya Vashavarti Vishwamakilam Brahmadi Deva Sura Yat Sattva Dhamrishaiva Bhati Sakalam Rajo Yatahir Brahma Yat Pada Plavamekhameva Hi Bhavam Bodhe Stitir Shavatam Vandeham Tamashesha Karana Param Ramakyamisham Harim Sarve Swarupe Sarveshe Sarve Shakti Samanvite Bhayebhyastrahino Devi Durge Devi Namostute Hari Om. Jai Mata Di, Jai Siya Ram, and welcome to Hinduism in Focus, as this week the entire country and the world at large will commence what we call Vasant Navaraatri, Chaitra Navaraatri, or Rama Navaraatri. And we have said that we will be discussing just this. Yesterday we started a discussion and we went, I believe, to a great extent as time permitted then, to look at the three names of this Navaratri, their true historical and spiritual significances, and at the same time to show that beneath all three of these names for this Navaratri, there is a underlining common thread as to the relevance to you and I. And we ended to show that that relevance is a spirit of rejuvenation, a spirit of renewal, not only of our materialistic desires and all of that, though that is necessary and it has a and they have a role, such desires have a role to play. They are really secondary when compared to the grand, the ultimate desire of mukti, or for mukti, the ultimate desire to exit this cycle of samsara and to attain to the supreme state of ananda, of bliss, which we call mukti or moksha. And when we ended yesterday, we had just shown that the manifestation of Bhagavan Rama, which is the culmination of this Navaratri, is really and truly an effort by the true sadhaka, the true seeker, to renew his own self, to rejuvenate his own heart in the glory and power of Bhagavan Rama, for an event of Ram's birth or appearance to have happened thousands of millennia perhaps ago, for us to still be reliving that in a living and dynamic tradition of Sanatana Dharma. That by itself is a reason to celebrate. It's a reason to appreciate. It's a reason to embrace. And so it is in that context that we are pursuing this Navaratri. So each one of the name, Vasant, Chaitra and Rama Navaratri, comes with a common call, a clarion call, a clarion reminder of our real and true purpose while we are living and enjoying everything. And we should not abscond ourselves from anything of the world, but we must have total control to the extent that we go, and that nothing in this world around us should ever have the control upon us. We must have the inner control as to where the line should be drawn. That is the true balancing of the mundane with the spiritual. Navaratri reminds us of that and tells us of the ultimate goal to be achieved. So in that process, while Mother or Devi is adored principally and historically also and traditionally, in the second Navaratri, which we call Sharad Navaratri, in September, October, which is a festival of the mother, this Navaratri also has elements of that, but it is not limited to the mother worship. The mother worship and the the worship and the satsang and the discourses leading to the appearance of Lord Sri Ramachandra, they all form the collective or the comprehensive definition to the observance of this Vasant Navaraatri. So this Vasant, which is spring, and please go back to yesterday's discourse to have the true context in which we are speaking, which is a time of renewal of nature, which is a time of rekindling life in every creature, all plants and everything else. And the Chaitra, which is the time of the beginning of the Hindu New Year, and the coming of Lord Rama, which is a time to bring Rama's birth into our hearts. They all are designed to help the sadhaka, you and I, the seeker, to lift himself from the body consciousness, from the body identification, from the identification of our name, fame, assets, possessions, relations, everything that we identify ourselves, for one moment to lift that identification to the ultimate true and eternal identification, that is, we are one with the Spirit Divine, we are one with Bhagavan, we are one with the Lord, and to recommit to the process, which is a process that takes place overnight, over lifetimes. It does not take place overnight. It takes place over lifetimes, birth after birth. So every birth, some work is done to keep moving along this line of spirituality. This Navaraatri is an aid to that process in essence. It is meant to fast forward, to fast track. It is meant to give a boost to that process. So that is why it is held to be of such sacredness, to be of such holiness, and to be of such importance, especially to the sadhaka. And Ramachandra's birth at the end of all of this is really us reliving the manifestation of the Supreme Lord in our own hearts as a true reminder of our ultimate goal, of the ultimate goal that we have to come to achieve, to come out of this samsara in some lifetime. And when the mother is worshipped in this process, it is only directed to that cause, and in fact to that goal of coming to welcome the manifestation of the Lord in all his glory and power in our hearts, called Ram Navami. So we are also worshipping Mother, and the worship is to help us along this path. It is to help us to maneuver. It is to help us to make our way smoothly, to aid the process that we can purify the heart, becomes sushi, ultimately pure, that the Ramachandra's birth, Ramachandra's appearance, this Lord, is felt in our hearts, and that culminates this Navaraatri. So Durga, Mother Durga, she's invoked in this process. Originally it may not have belonged to this Navaraatri, but it has come to identify it. So Mother Durga is invoked. She is revered. She is worshipped. And who is Mother Durga? On the outside, she has been given to us as the gracious Mother who fights for the Bhakta, who fights for you and I. What she fights for you and I, and there's a significant difference here in understanding Durga's role. The ordinary mother that we have, biological mother in this lifetime, she fights that the child is safely taken to school, that the child is not in any path that could harm him physically. She fights that the child's needs are taken care of: food, clothing, shelter, health. She fights that the child is always jolly and happy and healthy and doing his work and all of these things. Mother fights for these things. But the fight of Durga, she's called the Kriya Shakti, the power of dynamism, of action. She wars with the demons. Now what is this fight of Mother Durga? And who is this Durga? This Durga is a Kriya Shakti in us. The inherent power to rise beyond the challenges, to rise beyond the vices in us, to conquer our lower selves. That is called Durga. Outwardly the saints manifested her as a mother who sits on a roaring lion. And she who is Dasabhuja. She's 10-armed, having ultimate power over the 10 directions of the cosmos, protecting and fighting and warding off all negative tendencies. In the second Navaraatri, these tendencies are called Mahishasur, Shumba, Nishumba, Chanda, Munda, like this. That same Durga who outwardly manifested as that mother of 10 arms, Dashabhuja, that mother who is Sherawali, she rides the lion, that mother who is Ambika, gracious, who is Bhavani, who is Parvati, who is Uma, that mother is in us as a power to rise, the power to destroy laziness, the power to destroy tamas, ignorance, the power to remove anything, any thought that seeks to pull us away from the path of punya, the path of moksha. So this path of punya, the meritorious path, the good path, is called Shreyas in Bhagavad Gita. Durga's power in us is to let us be convinced and to fight against anything that pulls us away from punya, the meritorious path, to the path of papa. Papa marg, the road of destruction. That Durga comes at the time of Vasant, of the spring. So Navaraatri is called Vasant also, as we know. Why? Because the spring brings life. It brings an energy. It brings a renewal. That renewal, that life, that energy has to be manifested, has to be brought out, and has to be found and experienced within the individual. That is how Durga now becomes a critical, plays a critical role now in us. But this Durga is more than the Durga of the outside. The outside Durga is to create the ambience, to create the atmosphere, to create the facility, to create the environment, to bring out the inner Durga, the unseen Durga, to destroy, conquer and ravage the lower self in us. Until that process is activated, the world suffers. Vasant, a time of renewal, Vasant Navaraatri, reminds us of that critical role of Durga. Tomorrow when we meet, we will continue from here on. Until then, may grace of Mother be with all of us. May Bhagwan Ramachandra's grace be with us. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Mata Di.